Hello there. Well, there's an interesting development. It seems that the Scottish COVID inquiry wants to take a look at Nicola Sturgeon's WhatsApp messages. I wonder if Nicola Sturgeon will have a rush of amnesia about where her WhatsApp messages are, because Scotland's COVID inquiry wants to get their hands on her WhatsApp messages from her time as First Minister. And she's reportedly been issued with a do not destroy order relating to those messages, including those she had with the ex-Health Secretary Jeanne Freeman. On top of that, they also want details of her secretive ministerial car journeys. Now that sounds a bit juicy. Wonder where all that will lead. Now, according to Politico, the inquiry has confirmed it was after communications between ministers, officials and advisers relevant to the inquiry's terms of reference, which could include WhatsApp messages. And yesterday, a spokesperson for Nicola Sturgeon said that she would cooperate fully with any request, but that she had not yet received such a request. And I wonder if Mark Drakeford has any related WhatsApp messages. And in a development in England, Boris Johnson has submitted his WhatsApp messages to the Cabinet Office and urged them to forward them on to Baroness Hallett's inquiry. But what's becoming apparent here is that the Cabinet Office does not have all the WhatsApp messages. But why? Is it because ministers and officials were using their own tech devices and their own accounts to discuss government business, meaning the government machine had no oversight of the overall picture? No one was actually aware of the decision-making process? And if this is the case, then would someone be breaching the confidentiality of those they conversed with by handing the lot over to someone else without their permission? Now here's an excerpt from WhatsApp Terms and Conditions. You must access and use our services only for legal, authorised and acceptable purposes. You will not use or assist others in using our services in ways that A. violate, misappropriate or infringe the rights of WhatsApp, our users or others, including privacy, publicity, intellectual property or other proprietary rights. Has Boris just breached that? Do we now have officials being faced with potential breaches of privacy laws if they do hand such data over? Possibly an inevitable repercussion of allowing ministers and officials to use their own mobile devices and accounts to conduct government business. Maybe a proper court order based on the public interest is required to cut right through this. So what we all need to know now is how many defence policies and contracts are being set up using shady ad hoc WhatsApp group messages. How about foreign policy or home affairs matters? How widespread is the use of WhatsApp and equivalent systems where the government has no idea who is talking to who and what decisions are being reached and how they're being reached? And what the true objectives of those involved actually are. Now don't forget the Matt Hancock WhatsApp messages, the Hancock lockdown files that were leaked by Isabel Oakeshott and The Telegraph. I don't remember anyone getting a legal slap on the wrist for that. Maybe in the public interest suffices. And that leak analysed 100,000 WhatsApp messages containing 2.3 million words between the PM, Secretaries of State, ministers and officials. And you have to wonder how many of Boris Johnson's WhatsApp messages will be mere duplicates of those. Anyway, it doesn't look like a very accountable system to me. But we all know that if the civil service had a hand in designing an equivalent but secure and official system for ministers and officials to use, it would most likely be clunky, slow, buggy and unworkable, and probably only work on a big, heavy, slow, buggy and unworkable not-so-mobile device. Anyway, Grant Shapps, the Energy Secretary, has entered the WhatsApp fray and come down on the side of Boris Johnson, saying it was pretty basic, just give the inquiry everything they ask for. Saying it was really straightforward. We have to let the inquiry get on with its job, he said. Adding that there was nothing to be shy or embarrassed about. He also said that if the inquiry wanted info from him, he'd provide anything they asked for. But his own government's position, or that of Rishi Sunak, his PM, is that they shouldn't just hand over everything. Some of it is just personal stuff and of no concern of the inquiry, according to the government. And the government has until 4 p.m. to comply with the inquiry's demand for the data, with an expensive legal action to follow if they don't comply, according to Lord Savile. Talking to the Radio 4 Today programme, Lord Savile said that any case of this sort could be dealt with quite quickly, but it would not be cheap. Oh well, it's only taxpayers' money, and there's plenty of that sloshing about the system, so I doubt the government would lose any sleep over that one. And now we hear from a business group that any future UK government should adopt a general policy of alignment with European Union rules and regulations. Yes, the UK Trade and Business Commission, co-chaired by that arch-Remainer Hilary Benn, says that we need to maintain regulatory alignment with the EU to boost trade. That means slavishly following all EU diktats again, ruled by facts. Oh, and the Green MP, Caroline Lucas, is also on the commission. And all that would be achieved under the umbrella of a new UK EU Regulatory Cooperation Council. Cooperation. That would be one-way cooperation. Brussels will be happy to get a satellite UK in this manner. The Commission also wants to copy the Office for Budget Responsibility setup, where it independently assesses the Treasury, by forming an equivalent body, a UK Board of Trade, to independently assess the Department for Trade and Business. And then it says that all new trade agreements would have to be subjected to full parliamentary scrutiny and the approval of both the Commons and the Lords. But why? If, under this system, we're following EU rules to the letter, then every one of our trade deals would either emanate from Brussels or would have to be approved by Brussels before we could ever put pen to paper on it. No, this is just an attempt to get Labour to start thinking about getting the UK back under total EU control and ECJ jurisdiction. All rules would come out of Brussels and Westminster would once again become a mere rubber stamp exercise where the civil service happily rewrites EU diktats into UK legalese and MPs just march mindlessly through the eye lobby. These people will never give up until the euro replaces the pound and Westminster is a mere local parish council to a post-democratic EU superstate.